in the books. It's Iowa State coming on top with a 24-21 victory over Kansas State. Wildcats tried to make a comeback, scored 14 points in that fourth quarter, but overall the Cyclones, who numbers-wise, as you look at things, might not really seem like they would be the winner, but in the end, it is the Cyclones who take that spread and money line as well. The under-hitting also in this game. Week 0, a pivotal game of Big 12 play, is now behind us. But we are getting in front of the conversation and bringing in our college football expert, Tom Fornelli. And Tom, you see that final score, 24-21, Iowa State coming out on top. The numbers don't really tell the story because it is a win for the Cyclones despite passing for only 183 yards. Your overall thoughts of this game played across the pond in Ireland?
I mean, that was a Big 12 football game. That's exactly what you've come to expect from this conference, in that none of these teams are really that much better than the rest of the league, which often leads to very close and exciting games in the fourth quarter that come down to the final few drives, and we saw it in this game. The game began, it was raining really heavily, which led to a lot of turnovers and sloppy play early, but once the rain abated as we got into the second half, we saw these offenses get a little bit more comfortable and start taking more shots, particularly in the passing game, which led to some big plays in the second half. Iowa State was able to make a couple more than Kansas State to help get the win, but this was just kind of what you anticipate from two teams who should be two of the better programs in the Big 12 as the season goes on. And statistically, like you said, wasn't exactly pretty. You don't often see a lot of teams throwing for fewer than 200 yards and coming away with a win in this modern era of college football, but Iowa State was able to get away with it. They overcame 2 turnovers. Kansas State had 2 turnovers of their own. Wasn't the prettiest game. It usually is kind of ugly in the first game of the season for everybody, but it was a fun, entertaining game at the end. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, they had to re-put the lines on the field at times during the game because of all that rain going on there, leading to just sloppy play. I want to ask you about Avery Johnson, because from a star power standpoint, probably going into this game, everybody was looking at him. The stat line on him: completed 20 of his 30 passes for 273 yards and 2 touchdowns. Obviously, he did not do enough to get the win there for Kansas State, but just his play in general, what did you think of it?
Yeah, if you're looking for a silver lining, if you're Kansas State, obviously you're upset you lost this game. But watching Avery Johnson play today, he felt a little more refined as a passer than I think we saw for most of last season. Like last year, he had some truly bad games, particularly in Kansas State's losses. This year, we've already seen that trend flip on its head because he played well in Kansas State's loss. So going forward, you would hope that that's going to lead into better games and better performances and better results for Kansas State, because there were a couple big plays, including that 65-yard touchdown in the second half to immediately answer Iowa State's. That, you know, they took advantage of a blown coverage on the first touchdown pass. But the thing that you saw was on the second touchdown, he began rolling out to his left, which caused the defense to freeze, particularly the defensive backs who came up because they had to fear Avery Johnson and his legs and his ability to scramble. And he took advantage of it and just flipped a little pass over him to his receiver down the sideline for the touchdown. So those are the kind of plays last year that he wasn't really making. When he had those opportunities, he would miss those throws. And going back and watching this game today, there was really only one throw that I thought that he had that he, completely missed. Other than that, they weren't perfect. He could have made some better decisions, and he didn't really have the kind of overall impact that you want to typically see from him with his legs, although he had some nice runs. But all in all, I think this was a very encouraging start for Avery Johnson. And if Kansas State wants to recover from this, get to the Big 12 championship, and maybe get to the playoffs, this is the kind of game they're going to need every single week from Avery Johnson.
Yeah, Kansas State was the slight favorite going into this one. Iowa State, though, of course, coming out on top. And, of course, they are the team that did play in that Big 12 championship game a year ago against Arizona State. They got blown out in that game. But I want to ask you now about Iowa State. When you look at them getting this win, how do you feel about them going forward and their chances to be able to repeat and make at least another appearance in the conference title game?
I mean, this was classic Iowa State football. Like, this was a team that's, it's not always going to be pretty, but they try to limit mistakes, and they just try to make sure that they hang around. And in the fourth quarter, you're the one who makes the mistake that costs you the game, and they take advantage of it and win it. And if you look at Rocco Beck's final stat line, as we mentioned, he only threw for 183 yards. He had 14 completions on 28 attempts, which is not pretty. But there were also a lot of drops early in this game from his tight ends and receivers because of that, the wet football and the rainy conditions. And this was also breakaway spot in which we have to remember Iowa State last year had 2 wide receivers in Jaden Higgins and Jalen Knoll who were taking in the first 4 rounds of the NFL draft. It's hard to replace those guys. So there were struggles early, as you would expect. They had to lean more on the run game, but in the second half, they started finding a little bit more wiggle room in the secondary for their guys to get open. Rocco Beck made some very good throws, and when his guys were actually able to catch it, they had good results to help get them down the field to put points on the board. So when you look at Iowa State, the offense may not be the most explosive in the country this year, but it looks efficient, and defensively, they looked much better in this game than I remember them for most of last season because they suffered so many injuries at the linebacker position that it was really difficult for them at times last year, particularly when it came to stopping the run. They were fully healthy at the linebacker spot in this game, and they did an excellent job of limiting that Kansas State run game. So this is a Cyclones team that, again, should be in the hunt in this conference all season long.
Yeah, we showed the schedule for Iowa State. It's November 1st when they will get to take on Arizona State. And I know we can't take too much from this because this is the first game of the season for both of these teams. But as you look at it and as we project further along down the road, and I'm talking CFP time further on down the road, with all the eyes on the Big 12 from this game right here, did you see enough to think that, hey, maybe when it's time to reveal those 12 teams, the Big 12 could be a team that gets more than just one bid?
I think that there's definitely the possibility, but again, I don't know if this game truly has the impact on that because it's a conference game. I think it's how the Big 12 performs in their non-conference games. Like, for instance, Baylor's playing Auburn next week. If you can get those kind of wins against SEC opponents and Big 10 opponents that are on your schedule when Oklahoma hosts Michigan a few weeks from now, I'm sorry, or not Oklahoma, but these are the kind of games that they need to be winning to get that second bid. Because when I look at the Big 10, I know that there are 3 teams in that league that I feel really comfortable about getting into the college football playoff, but I don't know if there's a definitive 4th. And I think you could say the same thing about the ACC, where you can't be entirely sure they'll get more than one team in themselves. So I think the avenue is there. The question is going to be, how does the Big 12 perform in its non-conference games, and can they avoid beating each other up too much to where we get a situation like last year where there were 3 teams who went 7-2 in the conference and ended up with 2 of them going to the Big 12 championship. You need somebody to pull away to give yourself the chance that your loser in the Big 12 championship game won't be punished, just like what happened with SMU last season when they lost to Clemson, but it was only their second loss, so they were able to stay in the playoff picture.
It's looking months ahead into the future, but I'm thankful that in the present we get football and actual games to be able to talk. Tom Fornelli, thank you so much after that Dublin Classic of Iowa State and Kansas State that Iowa State just won by 3. So we focus on the Cyclones. Now they got dub number 1 under their belts. In the non-conference schedule, you get South Dakota first here coming up next on August 30th as they head back stateside and keeping things going. Games of interest and intrigue, of course. Colorado's always fun to see how they are, but they might have that Arizona State game on November 1st circled on their calendar as a Big 12 rematch. College football's here. We're loving it.